Alright, everybody. Just had to open a can of Monster Energy there, because I'm going to need some caffeine for this conversation. So, as we all may know, Battlefield 6 is struggling quite a bit, which, if you ask me, is pretty ironic, given the fact that I think it was the best-selling game of 2025. In fact, it might have been like the best-selling game in like 3 years, right? And it's definitely the best-selling Battlefield of all time. Now, that's pretty important to keep in mind because this is mimicking another game which I covered in the past and I desperately wanted to see recover, but it never did recover because the majority of the community was, how do I put this, retarded. For a lot of people, especially those who are a bit more dedicated and long-time players of the Battlefield franchise, they'll tell you that the maps are the problem, right? It's just the maps. Yeah, and whatever, right? And it could be for them, right? Because the maps are not great. They're just kind of slop maps. They're not overwhelmingly bad in a sense where, like, if you were to plop these maps in any FPS game, like a Call of Duty or something, these wouldn't be bad maps, I don't think. But these are definitely not Battlefield maps. They don't even feel like Battlefield. Like, the closest thing might be Operation Firestorm, and even then, that map is fucking terrible. But maps aside, right, casuals don't really care about maps. What they care about is the overall flow of the game, right? The overall feedback loop. If you shoot somebody, do they die? If the answer is yes, the casual likes a game, usually, because, casuals don't have a high list of fucking demands, they don't have high standards, they just want something to play with their friends, or something to crack open a beer to. They just want to chill, right? Now, this is important, because this game is a very lopsided game. Not this particular match. This is like some random-ass gameplay that I have in the back of my hard drive. I don't even know what the match outcome even is. I just like threw a random gameplay because I literally have nothing else to record this audio over because I don't bother recording my gameplays anymore. But it's very important to keep all that in mind because, casuals like an even playing field, usually. If you have one team or a couple of people in a team that are operating on a level that is not something they could even compete against, the casual's not only going to leave the match, but they're eventually going to leave the entire fucking game. It happens with every game, okay? There's no point in denying this. There's no point in sugarcoating this. There's no point in gaslighting each other anymore into thinking that the problem is somehow some other abstract issue. The problem is uneven gameplay. Now, the maps are not the issue when it comes to uneven gameplay. It is 100%, and you could look online about this. You could ask the average casual about this. The problem is the fucking crossplay. Okay, so I'm recording this after the fact of making this video. I want to clarify a few things. I want to just preemptively kind of counter whatever comments I know that I might receive in this video, right? So first off, I know that you could turn crossplay off. I know that some people actually have turned crossplay off. However, it's important to note that the majority of casuals do not know that's even a feature. They didn't know it was a feature in 2042. The proof was in the pudding if you went on 2042. If you go there right now and you turn crossplay off, I don't know how alive or dead that game even is nowadays, but if you turn crossplay off in 2042, your lobby will literally be empty. It was like that years ago. No one knew they could even turn crossplay off. And the only reason why turning crossplay off even worked in Battlefield 6 is because, naturally speaking, the matchmaking system would always try to put you into lobbies with people of your own console type. So if you turn crossplay off, you just increased your chances of being put into lobbies that were already being created by themselves with people that have crossplay turned on, where the whole lobby is just you and other people of your platform. So that's why crossplay being turned off worked briefly in this game, but it stopped working when the game started falling off, because again, the majority of people don't know that's even a feature. So when you play against PC players enough as a casual, you're just going to quit. It's essentially inevitable. The crossplay, including PC players, just mixing PC and console players, is the biggest blunder in gaming history I think I've ever fucking seen. It's actually worse than when Activision fucking dropped the ball when they only released a campaign for the Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, right? It's worse than that. And I'll tell you why. Do you remember 2042? How Battlefield 2042 was, and how it had like a little mini resurgence Well, I played 2042 when it went free on PlayStation Plus because I never bothered buying the game. I think this was in 2021 or 2022. I can't remember what exact year. It could have been 23 actually. The game was actually pretty enjoyable for a while. Most people were console players, and I didn't really have an issue with the game at all. I played Escalation, or was it some other? I can't remember the name of the mode. I played Conquest. I played every mode in that game. Right? It was great. 2042 wasn't like an A tier Battlefield, but it was definitely up there, C tier, B tier at best maybe. But it was fun to play, right? I played with my friends, mostly played solo. It was a good experience. Then the game experienced a tiny resurgence, and PC players started rolling in. Okay, now this is a problem. More and more of my deaths started coming from PC players. I don't remember if they would tell you what platform somebody was on in the scoreboard, but if they killed you, it would show you their platform, whether they were on Xbox or PlayStation or PC. And I remember when my like when PC players started taking up more and more of my deaths. That's when I noticed that more and more of my deaths were complete bullshit. Like, there was this one time on the map Kaleidoscope where I was I don't remember like what flag this was, but it was on the far west side of the map, and you had the giant stadium on the northeast side of the map, right? So I am running on the far west side of the map near the objective. I'm covered in smoke. There's fucking smoke everywhere, right? Smoke everywhere, in like every direction. I pop smokes. A teammate pops smokes. I'm essentially invisible to anybody who might be standing on the stadium building or anywhere even near it, right? Because I knew there was people up there, which is why we even smoked. So keep that in mind, right? A player with an SMG or an AR laser beams me in the fucking head from across the map through the smoke. Perfect tracking. And his platform? PC. Now, this wouldn't be that much of an issue if it was like one cheater, right? But there was a consistent pattern of cheaters coming from PC, and a consistent pattern of people that were playing like their fucking life was on the line, that were on PC, and it made the game feel like a chore. Okay, keep that in mind, because the same thing happened in Battlefield 6, and I made Reddit posts about it. Many other people made Reddit posts about it. We gave our feedback. We told DICE, hey, we don't want PC players in our fucking console lobbies. We don't want this shit. And we were told instead to get rid of the game. It was our problem. It was a skill issue, this, that, and the other. Somehow it was our fault. Apparently PC players don't like, this is like the greatest reversal of all time. Apparently PC players don't like playing with console players because of the aim assist. The aim assist in a game that barely has any aim assist, to me, that sounds like classic deflection. It just sounds like they don't want to acknowledge that they are the problem, okay? Now, like I said, people have made their complaints pretty apparent online, and they have been drowned out with downvotes, and I've seen it. I've been downvoted to hell myself, and instead of this being discussed more and being brought to DICE's attention, instead, the conversation has been entirely around things that DICE actually can't give an immediate fix for. The maps, they were complaining about the vehicles, saying that the vehicles are too weak or something. The gunplay, just random shit, which, like I said, I'm going to mention another game that had the same exact issue, but the whole community has basically just decided to pin the tail on the wrong donkey for a pretty long fucking time, and now the consequences are here. My matchmaking, I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this, but my matchmaking is cooked. I was just finding matches with Crossplay off just fine a month ago, which is like when this gameplay is taking place. And now that the game has sufficiently died, my matches are like 90% bots, and they're about 70% bots on weekends, okay? Even when I turn Crossplay back on, I'm still running into the same few people, like, every couple of matches, right? The game is fucking cooked. PC players on Reddit are even posting about how they can't find full lobbies anymore, and they're in the EST time zone as well, which is the time zone that I'm in. Now, the EST time zone is usually the most populated time zone in any game that you might find yourself playing. Call of Duty, Minecraft, I don't know, like, pick a game. It's probably most populated in the EST time zone. And given the fact that this is where I'm at, and this is the result, I can't find lobbies. That's pretty damning, and that should be fucking terrifying to DICE, honestly. Now, what is this other game that I was referencing, right? Because I made videos about it. It's X Defiant. If you want to do research on the downfall of X Defiant, I have a few videos on my channel. Some of them I did not release, unfortunately. I should have released them way back in the day, but I do have a few videos on my channel talking about the problems, and I was simply covering how, you have to think about the casual's perspective, right? Because the casual is always going to make up the majority of any given player base in a console game. You have to think about their perspective. With X Defiant, the problems were exactly this. There was movement abuse, there were sweats using, cheats, exploits, like Cronus Zen, anti-recoil with a just cracked up class, abusing movement, breaking the hitbox, and basically making the game feel like it was a competitive tournament. And the game died because after a while, no casual is going to want to face someone who is, zipping around the map like they're playing Titanfall or something, right? Which is exactly how the game was starting to flow. And if you compare that movement to the average movement of the casual player, it was such a night and day difference. It was like not even the same game, depending on how you moved. So casuals dropped off, the game died, the community started blaming random fucking shit. One of the things that the community was blaming it on was the lack of updates, which is kind of crazy because the game started dying after like 6 days of it releasing. And I actually saw the same thing online about Battlefield 6. People were saying that the game is dying because it doesn't have enough updates. Do they not remember the whole era where games barely got updated? And how games thrived and they just didn't die? Halo, Battlefield, Call of Duty, you might have an update once every few months or something, or a tiny little patch fixing a gun. That was even rare, okay? In that era, these games survived, they thrived, they had no issues, and I don't think lack of updates is an excuse for a game to die, or start dying, arguably, in less than a month of it releasing. A good real-world example of what I'm talking about is look at old games. Look at old games like the old Call of Duty games, especially on PC with like the mods that make it harder to cheat on there. Look at the old Battlefields, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3. You see all these old games that don't get updates anymore, obviously, and they still get tons of players. In fact, people are going from BF6 to BF4, and BF4 has not been updated, as far as I know, since 2015, 2016, I think. So that's been updated in a decade, and yet there's still players in that game. Okay, same with Battlefield 1. If you go back on any platform, you will find full servers in both of those games. Lack of updates is not an excuse. It is not a reason for a game like Battlefield 6 or X Defiant to die the way they did. The moral of the story is, if you are a game developer, do not ignore the people that are calling certain things out and getting downvoted to hell or screamed or chased out of the community, because like those people are most likely right. In every case that I have seen, that has been the case. The people that the community attack for speaking out against something are usually the people that are correct about something. So yeah, do I think Battlefield 6 will ever recover? No. I think this game is cooked. I think this game will go free on PS Plus later this year, or possibly 2027. I don't see it coming back because, unless DICE does like a huge course correction, or something, I don't see this game coming back at all. It's done. Most casuals, when they quit a game, it's usually for quite a while. They come back maybe like in a few years or a few seasons or something. Casuals have other games to play. The market is pretty competitive. You can't really sit here and expect people to come back to something that the developers refuse to fix for a long time. So yeah, that's it for this video. That is the issue. Crossplay. Same problem with 2042 happened. That's why the game fucking died. And by the way, that game was thriving for quite a while. And when those PC players rolled in and they're doing the movement, they're doing the cheating, they're doing all that weird zippy crackhead bullshit, and just whatever the fuck else they do. The game died pretty quick. I don't know if I mentioned this part, but the matchmaking got way worse pretty quickly. I think it took less than a month, and the matchmaking was so dead. It took forever to find a match. When I did finally find a match, it was just a ghost town. I don't know what 2042 is like nowadays, but last I checked, it was like 90% PC players, and that was not the case before they rolled in. So keep all that in mind. If you're a PC player, you might take personal offense to this. You might think like I'm just attacking PC gamers in general. I'm not. What I am attacking is this idea that console and PC crossplay is compatible. It's not compatible in any game. You could fit this in GTA if they ever had crossplay. Overwatch, Marvel Rivals. There's no game where PC and console crossplay uh, benefits anybody. In fact, it only really benefits the PC players. Even then, they still complain because they feel like the deaths that they get from console players are cheap. So, there you go.